When the elites start name-dropping 1929 on national TV, you know they're setting the stage for something. Sorkin's ringing the bell. Pink's pushing for democratized investing, and Powell is on the verge of the big print. What if they're not warning us? They're programming us. But this time, when the crash comes, it won't end in breadlines. Well, maybe for some, but it also ends with Bitcoin. We have a date with destiny, baby. Send it!
Do you think that we will have a crash or not?
The answer is we will have a crash. I just can't tell you when, and I can't tell you how deep. But I can assure you, unfortunately, I wish I wasn't saying this, we will have a crash.
Well, guess who just rang the opening bell for the markets? Yeah, Andrew Ross Sorkin, young global leader himself, co-host and star of Squawk Box with Joe Kernan, and apparently the new prophet of doom. He's on every screen pushing his new book, 1929, Inside the Greatest Crash in Wall Street History. I've seen some theories or this playbook before, so what if they're not warning us? They're actually programming us. When this guy and the head of BlackRock start reminiscing about 1929 while gold and Bitcoin are ripping, that's not coincidence. That's narrative seeding. They call it democratizing investing. But the reality in the translation of their Wall Street speak is rehypothecate your 401k into their next bailout. It's almost like history rhymes. It's the same access for all pitch they used before every other bubble. .com, housing, AI. This feels familiar. Tariff wars. Check. Overvalued stocks. Check. Computerized trading running wild. Double check. In 1987, the market fell 22% in one day because automated sell programs fed off fear.
It was the wildest day in history.
Sonny, there's only one word to describe what's happening, and that is panic.
Well, the law of gravity hit Wall Street today and financial markets around the world, for that matter, as stock prices plunged even more than they did on Black Tuesday of 1929.
Today, 75% of trading is algorithmic. One AWS glitch, boom, we're all reliving Black Monday. I don't know, maybe they're beta testing the internet shutdowns, updating terms of service, all to be, quote, legally compliant when your buy button disappears. They'll blame it on technical issues. We'll call that a dry run. Every crisis births a solution that's worse than the disease itself. 1929 gave us the Great Depression. 1987 gave us the Fed put. And 2025, that's when the Fed put finally breaks. And Bitcoin becomes the new backstop. Nick Tamaros from the Wall Street Journal just dropped it. The Fed's $6.6 trillion balance sheet runoff may end within days. Like today. But the real translation is liquidity crisis detected, printer warming up. They can't stop printing without breaking the machine. So they'll print until trust breaks instead. And that's when the real crash hits. Not stocks, but faith in the dollar itself. Look at who's synchronized. Sorkin says we will have a crash. Larry Fink goes on 60 Minutes the same week talking about opening 401ks to private risk. That's not analysis. That's conditioning. They want you scared so you'll beg for, quote, safe custody. They'll say, give us your Bitcoin. We'll keep it safe in an ETF. Meanwhile, the real players are loading up cold storage, preparing for 6102s like it's 1929. You probably should too. But maybe you need a coach or a guide to take you to Valhalla. We're about to bring it home. But before we do, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Let's take a quick second for our sponsors who keep this show on the air over at the Bitcoin Way. If your wealth lives in their system, it's not yours, it's theirs. That's why we scream Bitcoin. That's why you self-custody. And that's why you call our friends over at the Bitcoin Way. They'll walk you through multi-sig, self-custody, privacy, how to run a node, and the tools that keep you sovereign when the fiat system pulls the plug. Don't wait till it's too late. Book a free 30-minute consult today using that link in the show notes. Need cash but don't want to sell your Bitcoin? Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, issuing over $9 billion in loans since 2018, and they were the first to offer proof of reserves. With Ledn, you get custody loans, no credit checks, no monthly payments, and more. Visit learn.ledn.io/simply to learn more and get 25 basis points off your first loan.
our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
I know, from nothing not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
I love it now. But I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did say that.
Jim?
Here's the punchline. If this is a psyop, they already lost because Bitcoin was built for exactly this moment, the collapse of trust.
If you believe that countries are going to continue to debase their currency, if you believe that there's going to be global rise of insecurity, owning crypto assets or gold are assets of fear. You own these assets because you're frightened of the debasement of your assets. You're worried about your financial security. You're worried about your physical security, and between crypto assets and gold, they believe there's a strong belief that is a good hedge against optimism.
Okay. Jamie, you were a little...
When the Fed fires up QE Infinity 2.0, gold moves on fear, but Bitcoin moves on faith. Faith in math.
If you look at the failure of fiat currencies, they don't gradually fail. They fail spectacularly. And this is the premise behind the 1 million Bitcoin call, that it's not going to be a gradual, slow increase to $1 million a coin, but rather a very short and violent upheaval that sends us there in a matter of months, weeks to months. And if you look at the hyper-Bitcoinization landscape, what you do see is more and more countries coming out and mining Bitcoin. Bhutan, I think, is the clearest example of this. They have close to $1 trillion now in Bitcoin holdings from mining over the past 4 to 5 years. So if this is not an indication that hyper-Bitcoinization is coming, I'm not really sure what is. But countries that have excess energy, they can tap into that now and convert that into money and use that money for financing lots of different things. I believe we're also on the verge of countries issuing debt, sovereign debt, to buy Bitcoin. So the Bitcoin bond program, it is going to come simply because the MicroStrategy model has illustrated that this works, and it works very well. And it's just simply a matter of time before a country pulls that trigger and unleashes a torrent of sovereign debt to acquire Bitcoin.
Michael Saylor may have said it best, and right to Sorkin's young global leader, Facehole. Bitcoin is demonetizing store value assets all over the world.
Well, I think the key to keep in mind is Bitcoin is demonetizing foreign real estate, private equity, public equity, other sorts of store of value assets everywhere in the world. 20th century physical analog assets are becoming 21st century digital assets. These companies like Apple and Microsoft, if they could buy the S&P index, they'd be better off. It's against SEC rules.
Right.
If they could buy each other's securities, if the Mag 7 could buy each other's securities, they would be better off. That's against SEC rules. The only security Apple can buy is Apple stock. And what do? They buy their own security. So, and generally, if you're trying to create shareholder value, you don't want to park it in a fiat currency. You want to park it in a tangible asset. But gold and real estate don't make sense.
Did you ever see, what we're talking
Bitcoin
about?
does.
That means the wealth of centuries is leaving paper promises and flowing into sound money and digital truth. Every empire dies the same way. Debt, delusion, and denial. But for the first time in history, we get to opt out in real time. Sorkin says a crash is coming. He's probably right, but it's not the market crashing. It's fiat's credibility.
And I think what we're witnessing is a reverse crash. And so it's a crash up and not a crash down. So the same can also result, or we can get the same result, but from a different way. So right now what we're seeing is prices running away from us. Mm-hmm. So the S&P 500 is not crashing, it's continuing to going higher. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin's going higher, gold's going higher, homes are going higher, meat, milk, eggs, vacation, all that is going higher, but the result's the same. I still can't afford the same quality of life I had before.
So an inflationary crash.
It's an inflationary crash.
Your standard of living.
Right. So I'm calling it a reverse crash. And I think it's actually much worse. And the reason why I say it's much worse is in like 2008, there was a reset. Mm-hmm. So for a lot of people who were priced out of the market, they were able to get in the market. Mm-hmm. Now there was good deals on homes. There was good deals on stocks, things like that. And so it sort of gives you this reset. People can buy in. If you still have money left over, you could ride the wave, the recovery back up. But in a market like we have today, there's no reset. And so what happens is, since I started making these videos, 2022, 23, one of my friends, a really big macro channel on YouTube, we had dinner in LA in August of 2023 after I made the video, Bear Market's Canceled. And he said, how dare you make a video like that? Don't you understand that the markets are all-time high? Don't you see that the yield curve is inverted and like all these things? And I said, yeah, but that's not how I see it, right? So we have Harry Dent's been calling for a 90% market crash for 12 years. You have all these doomers that are out there, and a lot of people have been scared and they've been sitting on the sidelines, and they're waiting for that 2008 moment they can buy back in. This time I'm going to have cash. This time I'm going to be able to get back in. But the problem is they're just getting further and further behind. And so I think, to answer your question, I guess the melt-up thesis, but I don't think a melt-up thesis into a blow-off top. It's just like a continued runaway. And I think really the crash, the bubble is not in homes. It's not in stocks. It's in U.S. treasuries.
Yeah.
It's in U.S. dollars. So the crash that we're seeing is in U.S. dollars. And so there was a chart that was going around, I'm sure you saw a couple days ago, and it showed a bunch of different asset prices, both in dollars, in gold and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so when you change the unit of account, you just start to see the world a little bit differently. So when you see that the cliff that assets are falling off of is the dollar cliff, right? Yeah. So that's the blow off top. I project that prices are going to continue to run away and people are going to be further and further behind.
So yeah, they're telling you what's coming. QE forever, currency collapse, chaos. But they're also telling you the solution without realizing it. Hard, incorruptible, sound money. When the music stops, they'll be holding debt, you'll be holding freedom. They're predicting or programming a crash. We're preparing for a renaissance. That's right. Sunday! And get those tickets to Mining Disrupt 2025. Get those tickets to Mining Disrupt 2025. See the future of Bitcoin mining up close in Dallas, Texas, November 11th through the 13th. The biggest names in the industry. Cutting edge rigs, Bitcoin, and AI integration, the signal you won't get anywhere else. Grab your tickets today and use promo code SimplyBitcoin for 20% off, and we'll see you there. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Smash the like, subscribe, and give us a pamp by sharing the Sound Money Gospel. And don't forget to set those notifications for the best in Bitcoin news delivered to you daily. Hey, love you guys. Catch you tomorrow. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.